Hey everyone, how's it going out there in YouTube land? I am here because that's what it was. I am here because there is something I do need to mention. I do want to talk about a little bit, and let me pull up my notes here. So, So last night, I was actually rewatching Justice League, and it got me thinking about some things that, so probably some of the things that DC has done recently, and or some of the choices that they've made. So, as we all know, Ben Affleck is no longer Batman, first of all. And there is a possibility that Henry Cavill will no longer be Superman. Now, I do know that there was a report that said that he dropped it, but then Henry put up a very weird video on Instagram of him playing with a Superman action figure. And personally, that meant to me that he wasn't necessarily giving up the mantle of Superman. But I did just read somewhere that I did just read, I think it was on Twitter, or on some article on Twitter, that Warner Brothers isn't going to be doing anything with Superman or Batman for a little bit in terms of the primary characters of Kal-El and most likely Bruce Wayne. And personally, I think that's a good idea. Because if Warner Brothers does this right, they can turn the DCEU into something amazing. And I personally, and that's coming from someone who already likes the DCEU. I do like the DCEU. I like the Snyderverse. I think it is interesting, and I think there's a lot there. I also don't want Warner Brothers to necessarily scrap everything, and then just start anew, because they do still have Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa, who are very happy to continue on as the primary leaders in their superhero world. I would also not be surprised if Ezra and I think the guy's name is Ray or something, whoever the guy is that's playing Cyborg, I'm pretty sure they would. Those two, especially Cyborg and Ezra, wouldn't mind, because that would also allow them to become part of something bigger. And once again, this is a very big opportunity for Warner Brothers to create a true brand, kind of what Marvel's done with the MCU. So, here's some ideas that I have where Warner Brothers can actually do something really interesting, or some interesting ideas that Warner Brothers might be able to do to make themselves profitable. So, if we are going to continue having a Batman, I should also mention that it does make sense if they. In this article, they were talking about how they're just going to continue on with Supergirl and maybe someone from the Bat family, and they've already done that in the CW verse. So there's not necessarily a need to do that in the movies, but they probably still will do that to keep it consistent. So here's what we can do. Is that first off, to keep everything consistent, what I would suggest is that if Warner Brothers wanted to do this right, instead of staying with Bruce Wayne, because apparently they are looking at Robert Pattinson to be a new Batman. Okay? Let's just say that is true. Let's just say that is the case. Now, there's 2 ways that they can do this where it makes it... 3 ways. There's 3 ways they can do this to make it incredibly interesting. Sorry, it is 2 ways. It is 2 ways, sorry. There's 2 ways they can do this. They can make this very interesting. Which is to... And both of them involve cutting out Bruce Wayne entirely. So Robert Pattinson would, and once again, this is just assuming that he is going to be the new Batman. That means Robert Pattinson will not be Bruce Wayne. He will not be Bruce Wayne at all. Okay? What we do is that we actually, once again, this is continuing to branch out the DCEU. In the comics, Bruce Wayne has actually disappeared from being Batman multiple times. And in that case, generally the Bat family has stepped up. And that's been Robin, Red Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, Batwing, Catwoman, Azrael, Orpheus. Yeah, just to name a few. Just to name a few people. So, in that case, with Robert Pattinson, if we're going to have Robert Pattinson be Batman, what we need to do is make sure he's not Bruce Wayne, and we do that by either having a one of his proteges, because Ben Affleck was an older Batman. So, and we do know that there was at least one Robin beforehand, which stands to I forgot the term, but which makes it very plausible that there are other Robins. Okay, most people only remember Dick Grayson. No, Dick Grayson is not the only Robin. In fact, that Robin was probably the second Robin, which was Jason Todd. So in total, there have been 5 Robins in terms of in the present day timeline for DC, and 2 Robins from the future. And that's Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, and Damian Wayne are the 5 present day Robins. And then the 2 from the future are Carrie, I forgot her last name, and whoever the black guy Robin was from Batman Beyond. And that's a comic. That's from one of the comics. I don't know much about him. I only heard of him tangentially. And in fact, as far as I understand, he just showed up for 1 or 2 panels or something. But you guys are welcome to correct me on that. But that, as far as I remember, that was from a timeline that was like 10 years in the future, or something to that effect. So you have one of his proteges take over, one of those 5 present-day Robins, and with Robert Pattinson, I would probably most believe it would either be Dick Grayson or Damian Wayne. And either one of them can and probably would actually take up the mantle of Batman if that's the direction where you want to go, Warner Brothers. So that's, and then the second option is to do what the fans have been loving for a long time, which I really doubt they would actually. Considering the fact that he was Cedric Diggory, and despite the whole Sparkle thing, Edward was a dark character. So I could see Robert Pattinson taking on. I could see Robert Pattinson becoming Terry McMillan. Was that his? No. Terry Guinness. Sorry. Terry Guinness. Hold on. Let me make sure I said that right. McGinnis. I think it is. McGinnis. Terry McGinnis. Yes, there it is. Terry McGinnis. Sorry. I'm so bad with names. So, yeah. So he could be either one of the proteges as Batman, or become the Batman of the future, Terry McGinnis, which is something a lot of people have been clamoring for, which is a Batman beyond, is like Batman quote unquote beyond, joining the coming into a DC movie. So that would actually be really interesting if they do actually decide to do it that way. And that's a way you can keep your DCEU and still have a and that's how you can keep your DCEU and still have a Batman. And I mean, this is something that can actually be done, because we know for the longest time Marvel was scared of making Spider-Man anybody else. And then you have a Spider-Man movie with 5 people, and it just blows up. So you have like 5 different Spider-Men, and it blows up. Actually, 6, if you count the end. But yeah, that's so. I mean, it's totally possible to take one of your most classic heroes, and then use one of the canon replacements for him. Now, as for Superman, if you do, you kind of do have to have some sort of super being in existence. Now, if Henry Cavill is in fact not coming back, there's a couple ways you can do the same thing with Superman, which is either you bring in one of the Supergirls, so you can have a whole new Supergirl, or, and this would be a really good idea, you bring in Power Girl, who is actually a Kryptonian, but from a parallel world. They might have retconned that since the last time I read it, but because DC's always revamping everything. But point being, you can have a super person. I would also, another suggestion is another one that a lot of people were asking for, which is either most people have been saying Val Zod. I've been saying Calvin Ellis, who is also a Superman, and Calvin Ellis is a Kal-El from a parallel universe who happens to be a black man, and he becomes president of the United States. For this particular universe, Val Zod may actually work better. Yeah, Val Zod could actually work as a long-distance relative, not long-distance, distant, as a distant relative of General Zod, who is trying to correct the wrongs of his distant relative, or something to that effect. Or just has no knowledge of his homeworld. On a lesser level, I was thinking Connell, aka Superboy, the clone of Superman, half clone of Superman. But that, I don't know, Lex Luthor has actually been on his spaceship, on a Kryptonian spaceship, so that is also possible. And he's free, so it is also possible that he could create Con-El. And that would be an interesting twist, too. You could also just have... Now, here's another thing, too, is that DC... Another reason this is an opportunity for DC is that one of the ways that... one of the things that Marvel's done with their MCU is that they've brought in a bunch of side characters. Because think about it. Who are some of the biggest names in Marvel in terms of characters? Captain America, the Hulk, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. Now, obviously, they don't have control over the Fantastic Four. That's fine. But you see where I'm going with that. However, Marvel started with Iron Man, and then brought in Thor, and then we went to Captain America. So, technically, Hulk was one of the first movies in that, but it was because they changed the character. It was kind of tangential, but still. Point being, Marvel started with with some of the more side characters. They brought in Ant-Man and Guardians. Literally nobody ever heard of the Guardians until Marvel decided to make a movie out of them. Okay, so this DC can do this, and some of the suggestions I was hoping for personally, and not only that too with the movies, they've also have the street level guys, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage is a little more famous, but so is Daredevil, but Iron Fist is definitely like one of the side characters. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, they brought on Quake in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, so, once again, nobody ever heard of until she was on the show. So... DC should realize that this is viable, because you already have the Green Arrow starting off his own thing. Like, Green Arrow was the first one on TV to start off this whole Arrowverse thing. Then Flash is a bigger character, but you've also got Supergirl. Now we've got Black Lightning, which was a hero literally nobody asked for. I'm sorry, I like Black Lightning, but in the planning stages, it was a hero like nobody asked for. So you can bring in new heroes who are kind of side characters. My personal favorite for this is gonna be people from the Dakotaverse, Milestone superheroes, who are technically DC now. Now that DC has officially brought them into the fold, they might have to pay some extra taxes or whatever, but they now are official DC characters. They're in the DC-verse. So we could have people like, Icon being the brand new Superman. Like, cut out Val-Zod, period. Have Icon be the new Superman. And he's a character that, that somebody... that people not a lot of people know about, but his powers are similar enough to actually Martian Manhunter, that it could bring some curiosity. Hardware, who is essentially the Milestone Tony Stark. Okay, like you can have your own Tony Stark. DC, come on. I mean, like, you already have like Mr. Terrific, Black Canary, and Martian Manhunter on TV. So we can definitely bring in some of the, and Guardians were nobodies before the MCU. So they could definitely bring in some nobodies for the movies. And this also because the heavy hitters are now gone. They're quote unquote heavy hitters. Wonder Woman still is. Wonder Woman and Aquaman still are, but their movies have already come out. So now that but they're also not the biggest names at DC. You mean like the top two at the biggest names at DC are unequivocally Superman and Batman. So now that those two are going to be out of the picture, we can do something else with those titles. Kind of like what Fox is doing with their X-Men licensing. They've taken their X-Men. It took them like, I want to say it took them like 15 years to do this, but they're finally expanding they're finally found something to do with their X-Men license besides just X-Men. So Fox is, and I think that's just more out of desperation. They've finally become creative with this. And they've made some good. They've made good TV with it. They've made good TV with this, which with The Gifted and Legion. Legion is very weird, but a lot of people like it. A lot of people who've seen it like it. I personally have some hard time trying to keep up with it. But Gifted is definitely good. The Gifted is definitely very good. So yeah, you can beat Marvel at their own game. You can play the long game with this. So so we've already got plans. We just came out with Aquaman. Cyborg and Flash movies are supposed to be coming out within the next 2 or 3 years. The new Wonder Woman's also supposed to be coming out. We can use this time to plan the long game and not just throw everybody in, because that was the main issue with Batman v Superman, was that we tried to shoehorn everybody into this, and then we made a Justice League movie like right after it. So I like Justice League though, don't get me wrong, I like Justice League. I feel like it could have been better though. I feel like I honestly feel like the Snyderverse just doesn't get. I feel like it's bashed more than it should be, because if you actually look at it, it is very interesting and kind of a new spin to put on things, and because a lot of the criticisms against Man of Steel are from people who don't really understand it. That's really what it is. Every argument I've seen against Man of Steel are from people who are pointing out stuff that was already explained in the plot. Like they were too busy steaming about it from the ears to actually listen to what people were saying and notice what was going on screen. So, so it does have its merits, I feel like DC can actually expand on this because it's already here. It is already here. You've already got the plans. You've already put the money into it. Let's just continue it and stick with and find a vision and stick with it. That's the biggest thing too, is just finding the vision and sticking to it. Because there's a lot of material in there. There's a lot of material to be able to use for this DCEU. And the only thing is you just got to find it. And Superman and Batman, Batman definitely being gone, but Superman possibly being gone is a milestone. Is a speed bump. Sorry, is a speed bump, but it's one you can get over somewhat easily if you're really looking at the material. Like, for example, this new Batman movie that's coming out. You can use this new Batman movie to explain Bruce disappearing and the rise of the new Batman. So there's a lot of potential in here if Warner Brothers plays their cards right. They need to not rush this, which is what happened. Man of Steel came out, and then somebody liked it, and they came out with somebody said, let's have Batman v Superman, okay, and then somebody decided, let's put all these characters in here, let's have Doomsday and Wonder Woman, and then we're going to introduce the Flash, and we're going to show Aquaman. It's like, whoa, hold on, take your time. Marvel, I know DC is, you're not Marvel DC. You don't need to do everything they do, but you can beat them at their own game, and that includes not rushing. This isn't the last 2 minutes of the Super Bowl. You don't need to rush this. Take your time. It took Marvel 10 years to build up to I think it was 10 years. No, it was like 5. I think it was like 5 or 6 years. It took somewhere between 5 and 10 years for Marvel to actually finally get that Avengers movie in. So you really don't need to rush this, okay? And then once again, it took another 5 years for another Avengers movie to come out. So don't rush it. Don't rush it, guys. Marvel has now gotten to the point where they can crank out 2 and 3 movies a year because they have all these new characters that they've introduced throughout this time. You can do the same thing, DC. You have a ton of characters. You have a ton of them. You have a ton of really cool characters. Not only that, because of the TV, you can also cross-promote. And that's one of the things that Marvel can't do right now, is that they can't cross-promote. Because they've established all of these things in the same universe, but because of all the chaos happening in each movie, they've had to separate them and only hint towards it. Now, with DC being the masters of the multiverses, I'm saying that, DC, you guys know it, you're always with the multiverse. Marvel has multiverses too, but they're not as intertwined as the DC ones are. So since you've got the TV, you've got TV now. TV you can actually have these characters, cross promoting, or these TV series and the movie series cross promoting with the web series and the old TV series and the DC animated films and stuff like that. So I mean, this is I forgot Captain Marvel's coming out soon too. Shazam. Captain Marvel's coming out soon. I forgot about that. You got him in the ropes. Come on, you guys. Come on. This is opportunity. You've already got that in the works. You can just add him to what you've already got. Because remember, I just saw Justice League yesterday. They're gonna have that circular table, and everybody's gonna be, and it's just gonna be able for everybody to sit in there. Now we've also got the Crisis coming up on TV next year. That's an opportunity for promoting, man. Come on. You guys can totally do this. The Crisis can jumble everything up. And you can actually make everything exactly how you want it. This is a big opportunity. Please don't screw it up, guys. And unlike Marvel, you can have characters intertwining without it actually affecting long-term plots. Because they're in different universes. So you can have Ezra meet Grant, and Ezra meet Grant, who's already hanging out with John Wesley's ship. So I mean, this is big opportunity, very big opportunity. So yeah, the multiverse is there. Use it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what you guys do with what you have, DC, because you have a lot of material there, just itching to be used. So I guess that's all I have to say. This is this has kind of been a long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope DC gets to see this. I mean, it's just one guy's idea. But, you know, come on, DC. I love you guys. I love your characters, all that stuff, you know. You can bring in so many characters. I didn't even mention Static because, you know, you guys know Static's my favorite hero. But I understand that there might not be a use for him at this point. Titans. Especially since he's his own hero who usually works solo. You know, even if he briefly worked with another group of young heroes at a certain point. Titans. Yeah. Even if his powers are more similar to something else, Black Lightning. But they might have too many people of that same type. So maybe he could appear on a different show, Titans. Yeah. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think that's pretty much it. I only had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I only had 7 points. And I think I hit those. Can't really see it that well. Oh boy, that's dark. Yeah, that's real dark. Why is that so bright? So bright. There we go. So you can kind of see it there. Oh, there's the dimmer. There we go. So, yeah. So, I had a few notes. And, yeah. So, I already hit all my points. All the points I wanted to hit, I hit them. Whether on purpose or accident, they're all hit. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you want to pass this on to whoever the idea guys are at DC, let them know. But once again, I'm just a small-time YouTuber. Only 600 followers. Or 600 subscribers. So, you know, I don't really have much of a voice of anything. So, yeah. Till next time, you guys. Stay geeky, my friends. And remember, check out the links in the comments. I don't have any DC games right now. Maybe at some point I can play Injustice, because I still do have my copy of Injustice that was autographed by Stephen Amell. That was the first one, the first Injustice. I haven't gotten the second one because I couldn't afford it. I do have a Young Justice game, which is not very good. I think that's it right now. Oh yeah, I have Lego DC, I think, for Xbox One. Yeah, I think I have that. So, if you guys like, I can play that and put a video of it up on Twitch. Do I need a gaming channel on YouTube? Let me know. Because I think YouTube uploads more stable than Twitch does. Because I think I can upload almost any size on the YouTube and not really have any trouble. But with Twitch, I've had trouble trying to upload multi-gig video, like 5+ gig videos. And that's because I'm trying not to get rid of the, trying not to lower the quality on the video. So I try not to compress them, because they might lose some kind of quality or something. It doesn't look like they do, but my eye isn't the best when it comes to all the 60 KB 4K stuff and all that. Anyway, yeah. Check out the links in the comments, see what I'm watching. And until next time, you guys, stay geeky, my friends. Here comes the surprises. Number 2, Kenshin 2, Kyoto Inferno. Yeah, Kenshin is number 2. If you haven't seen Kenshin by now, if you haven't seen the Kenshin movies by now, you have to see them if you're an anime fan.